There's 1,000 hamlets in 1,000 people's eyes. Today we're going to talk about Marxism in our book and what we learned. There's a tons of opinions about Marxism in the world right now, and we just are gonna talk about what we learned and what we studied from this book, and also how to apply in the text that we read the chase. So this is our table of contents. First, we're going to talk the definition of Marxism, and then some key vocabulary that are important in Marxism, and then the history and the assumption, the methodology, the analyze of the text, the chase, and then some question we can relate from the Marxism and the chase. The definition of Marxism. Through analyzing the author's life and what the author's story says about society, Marxism details a plan for changing the world from a place of bigotry, hatred, and conflict due to class struggle to a classless society, where wealth, opportunity, and education are accessible for all.
Okay, so we also have some keywords that Marxism has. So the first one is ideology. So it's basically just a system of ideas and ideals, especially one which informs the basis of economic or political theory and policy. Another keyword or keywords are bourgeoisie and proletariat. So the bourgeoisie is like the capitalist class which owns most of society's wealth and means of production. The proletariat is like the impoverished worker or working class people that are regarded collectively. Their only value is to do labor. And then the last keyword that we have is hegemony. So it's where leadership or dominance, it's especially by one county or social group over others.
So the history. Marx was born in a time of political change in Germany. First, the Holy Roman Empire was declining at the end of 1700s, and then the unification of Germany as the German Confederation from 1814 to 1848. These developments likely influenced Marx's political philosophy. Marx was born in 1818 in Prussia to a Jewish family. For education, he went to the University of Berlin and studied philosophy and law. He even joined a college group called the Young Hegelian, which challenged established institutions of society like politics, religion, and more. After university, Marx met Friedrich Engels. Together, they formulate Marxism, co-authoring the Communist Manifesto, while Marx wrote several other works further describe Marxism's belief. Although Marx died in 1883, his political philosophy carries on into 20th and 21st century. Marxism gets a literary aspect with Leon Trotsky, a third that all literature can be revolutionary. This led to another literature guideline after heading by Stalin and other Marxists.
We also picked up on some assumptions that Marxism makes. So the first one is that solutions to the world's problems can be interpreted through a social and political lens. There's also that society structure is built off of class warfare, where the social elitists oppress the working class ideologically and politically. There's also that Marxism's metaphysic is that everything that exists is in the physical world, so that's a form of materialism. And then also that all aspects of life and all actions are related to culture and society. So in terms of a literary critical lens, the first thing that Marxism does is that it figures out a text ideology. So it's just how like society should be organized. So this information is figured out through analyzing the author's background, the literary piece's time in history, and by researching the historical event that the literary piece depicts, if it is depicting something that's historical. Just to make it clear, rather than analyzing literary devices to know more about the story, Marxism directs all information that a story describes to figure out the ideology that the story presents.
For number one, ideology, Dillard's background, although she may come from an upper-class industrialist family who started the American Standard Corporation, Dillard and her immediate family held ideals contradictory to their bourgeoisie standing. Dillard's father actually left the family company, and her mother was a strong supporter for liberal politics. Also, as a prominent writer who happened to be a woman, Dillard's work was undermined by the media, as it emphasized her attractiveness over her work. As seen, Dillard and her family deviated from the established high-ranked order of society, even in some ways being victims themselves. Number 2, Chase's contents from the story. A quote from it is, "I would have died happy, for nothing has required so much of me since his being chased," which we interpreted as the girl feeling fulfilled by rebelling against the social hierarchy of adults and children. Number 3, simultaneous historical events. At the time, Ronald Reagan was president and he ushered supply-side economics, which made the rich richer. It would make sense for an author to write an implicitly Marxist piece during one of the American capitalism's peaks, when the disparity between the elites and the working classes increased, preventing people from equally pursuing their desires. The man symbolizes capitalism. He wears city clothes, a suit and tie, street shoes, and he arrives in a black Buick. He is dressed for business and drives a car built by the nation that embodies capitalism, the United States. Comparing the man and the kids references the social hierarchy that Marxism despises. Just as adults are above children in authority, the bourgeoisie rule over the working class. Additional perspectives of Marxism. Georg Lukács, a Hungarian that supported Marxism outside Russia. The reflection theory added formalism to literary analysis, believing that studying symbols, images, and other things would allow better understanding of class conflict and economic base and superstructure relationship. Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School believed that literature reveals a culture's alienation and fragmentation, that a text is determined by capitalism because of what style and type it is written in. Understanding the capital's role in what books are available allows their proletarian freedom. Epic theater. Marxist theater which doesn't want the audience to believe that what they are watching is real, instead to focus on the message by constantly interrupting with a song or speech. Antonio Gramsci does not think that the superstructure merely reflects the base. He thinks there is a complex relationship. Hegemony equals ideology. He believes that the bourgeoisie have power because they create the base and support the superstructure, and the proletarian consents to their rule, and as a result, lets go of all their accolades, leading to the bourgeoisie in power. Because literature is part of the superstructure, there is no reason to study it. Finally, questions. What role does social class play in the interactions between the kids and the adult? The kids represent the proletarian and the social class, which have the rebellion but don't have much power, and the adults represent the bourgeoisie, which have more power. Does the text reinforce or critique hierarchy authority? Annie Dillard depicts the businessman as a maniac. He is a satire of capitalism. The fact that the man is so enraged over something as small as a snowball showcases his need to maintain his power over the young girl. How does the children's game reflect power struggles? A childhood snowball prank, becoming into a serious chase, reveals the conflict between youthful rebellion and the invincible force of higher authority.